T minus 30 seconds. T minus 20 seconds. Ten, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Happy Saturday, everybody. Welcome, Trap Talk Reptile Network, the coolest reptile network in the world. Welcome to episode 18 of All Monitor Talk. I am your host, Jen Black of the SOAR Network, and with me is Mike Stefani of Mike's Monitors.
Hi, Jen. How are you? It's great to see you, partner.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing good, hanging in there. You know, the weather's starting to change a little bit here, so I was just upstairs having a cigarette, kind of freezing my boils off. So,
All right, Mike.
Okay, here we go. Anybody who's interested in keeping reptiles, whether you're a beginner or a pro, whether you have one animal or 20, you got to join the USARK, man. These guys fight for our rights to keep these animals that we love and nurture. Without the USARK, Phil Goss, Jeremy, and Vanessa, the hard work that they put in, we'd be losing our animal rights left and right. So whether you join on a membership tier or you donate or volunteer time at any of the shows, you got to join USARK. Go to their website, join up, follow the notifications, because these guys fight tirelessly for our rights to keep these animals.
All right. And today our sponsor is Blake's Exotic Feeders. If you want good quality quail and average different sizes, Blake's the man to hit up. Please, everybody, Blake's Exotic Feeders for quality quail. And today, we have Brad from Bioactive Builds. Welcome to our podcast.
Hey, thanks so much, Jen. Thanks so much, Mike.
Yeah.
It's super cool to be on this podcast. I mean, I try to tune into you every other Saturday when you guys are on air. One of my favorite podcasts for sure, let alone the Trap Talk Network with MJ throwing down podcasts, you know, weekly, multiple times. A lot of good information coming off this channel here. So it's definitely an honor to be able to, you know, sit in and have a good conversation with the both of you.
Absolutely. Well, so with all that being, oh, go on, Jen.
Yeah, we just need to say hello to a few people here.
Okay, yeah.
We have Chantel from Pacific Rim Serpents, Balls of Paradise, odd name, funny, but I like it. Riddler's Reptiles, Amy's Reptile Adventures, Sue Sweet Lou. We got Mason the Monitor
Hi,
Man.
Susie. Mason Monitor.
Jared Reed has joined us, and that's who we have so far. So yeah, let's do this. So Brad,
Thank you for watching, guys. I appreciate it. We all appreciate it.
yeah, thank you. Thanks so much.
And just another thing I want to say, Brad, man, thank you so much for always being in the live chats when we're, you know, when you're not a guest, and throwing out those super chats. The super chats, just so everybody knows, the super chats go after whatever YouTube takes their money. Whatever's left of that money goes right to USARK. So
Yes.
we appreciate live chats. Appreciate you guys.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody who's always contributed. Thank you so much for the people that are with us today. And now, time to pick Brad's brain.
All right.
So, well, first, I want to find out, what was the smallest enclosure you ever created and made bioactive?
That's a great question. The smallest was probably an 18/18/24, although I have a 8x8x12. I'm going to kind of do the smallest ecosystem I've ever built. So expect that video coming out soon on my channel. And
Nice.
Yeah, and that's, Jen, that's where I started. I started with smaller enclosures, whether it was at 18/18/24 or 36/18/24, 36/18/36. A lot of dart frogs. That's how I originally got back into the game once I got sober, and just seeing like the naturalistic setups that you can do, and just kind of bringing that chunk of the jungle into your own home, right? I always wanted to go to the Amazon, so hey, let's just bring it to us.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Start building. And you know, I've always been interested in verandas. I had one, you know, in my high school years, and I loved them, but I just saw like these boxes, right, and not that naturalistic look until
Yeah.
I saw Mike, and I went over by his place, and my mind just exploded with the possibilities on how you could do naturalistic enclosures.
Hey, Brad, I just want to say something. When that happened, when your mind was blown down here, thank God it was a very small mess to clean up.
Yeah.
He's so sweet.
Years at times.
Hey, if I don't fuck around with you, that means I don't like you. So if I fuck around with you, that means I like you. So, and I like you a lot, Brad.
Yeah, much love for you too, Mike.
Absolutely.
You know, it's funny you say that, Brad, because the way I started, believe it or not, was cultivating orchids. Very
Nice.
rare and very delicate orchids. They were actually species plants, so they weren't hybridized. So they were a lot more difficult. And I used to have these little, I used to call them like picture frames, because they were 8x10. They were just probably like 10, maybe 15 inches deep.
Okay.
And I would literally try to recreate the world that these plants actually lived in.
That's neat. You'll have to send me some pictures later on. I'd love to see them.
Yeah. This is a long time ago. So I'm not a young chicken anymore. So yeah, it's a while ago. But yeah.
Me neither. I just look young.
I did the dart frogs. I did that. My very first successful bio was red-eyed tree frogs, and then I moved to poison dart frogs.
Mm-hmm.
And the poison dart frogs had a full stream in it. So you do water features too, right?
I do. There's something about that element that I think just really brings the enclosure to the next level. Now, granted, you have to do them right. And I know in my early days, I had a lot of attempts and, you know, a few failures throughout it. And I found you really need to go overboard, overkill, overbuild when it comes to water features. Otherwise, you're going to have waterlogged substrate, or the water's going to go in different directions. And it's just not going to work the way that you had envisioned it. So you always got to plan for the worst, you know, and then try and beat that plan and kind of think around it when it comes to water features. Yeah.
One thing I've found with water features and enclosure builds, and again, naturalistic is what we're talking about. So we don't have to keep saying that, but with water features, it's never when you first have it in your mind and you create it, you build it, man, there's no way, not even the best of us are done at that point. Mm-hmm. There's always something that you didn't see or you didn't think, or once you add the water to the feature, you realize, wow, that edge is a little low, water spilling over it. So there's always tweaking and working, but once you get it all honed in, you can't beat it. It's a blast. It's fun. Your animals love it. And like you said, Brad, when people come and see it, you know, it stimulates. That's what we try to do, right? As reptile keepers, we try to encourage people to come into this and do their animals right. So when they come to your house, when they come to my house, when they come to Jin's house and they see these naturalistic enclosures, you know, the first thing that I generally hear is, holy shit, I didn't know you can do that. No, you can do it. And then they start with, oh yeah, but you know, you know what you're doing. I'm like, there was a point when I didn't know what I was doing. I just did it. So I like to encourage people to go out for these animals that deserve every bit of it. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with that, Mike. And like, you know, we all love animals, right? Especially reptiles. That's why we're kind of in the reptile game. And the appreciation and the beauty and just the remarkable, you know, personalities that they have, if you really look at it. But then there's also the other side, right? There's the side of their actual enclosure. And to me, that's just as exciting of a hobby as having the animal itself. You know, how can I build this thing and just have this, the way that I see it, this piece of art inside your home that this animal gets to live in and enjoy. And,
offer that enrichment. Jen, I've heard you talk on the podcast just by throwing, I think you said you've thrown birds' nests and, different logs and different, stuff in there just to get their mind rolling. And I just did that for Jupiter for like the last week. I had a huge cork bark round in there for him just to kind of investigate and look. And I take that in, put it out. After he destroys a plant, I'll put it in for the time being until I get another plant in there just to kind of keep that going for him.
Yep. And they use it. And Mike said that too. Mike said that they'll use every inch of their enclosure. If you give them the opportunity to, they will show you behaviors that they're ingrained. That's in their DNA. That's not something that, whether it's wild caught, if it's captive bred, that's embedded in their DNA. This is what they do. Yep. And there's a reason why they're called monitors.
Yeah.
Like the name itself says it. They're monitoring everything. They're taking in that environment in. And the more you provide that, like I actually have different spots in the apartment for that specific reason. And I change things up. I move furniture around, as annoying as that is, but in my head it's like they've been looking at the same thing the entire week.
Yeah. You got to stimulate their brain. These are intelligent animals. So what people also don't understand is, okay, we basically start with a box, correct? And you put a basking shelf or a ledge, your water dish, but man, if you can make their walls climbable, like with zoopoxy, and there's other ways of doing it, but for naturalistic purposes, zoopoxy is great because you can make it look like rock, wood, anything you want. So by using these naturalistic techniques, you're actually maximizing, like a 4x8x4 enclosure is not too big. But if you utilize your space properly, you can actually triple the size of that enclosure. And it no longer is a small box. It's plenty of opportunities for digging, climbing, exploring. So that's part of it too with your naturalistic setups, is to get more out of your space.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with that. And that's why I really enjoy doing like all three walls, because like you're saying, you can maximize that footprint. When I was at the Vatican, right, in the Sistine Chapel, it's a huge place, but there's so much space above you can't do nothing with it. And that's what I see sometimes with like these huge enclosures. It's a 12 by 10 by 15 tall, but there's like a shelf 3 feet off the ground, and that's it. You have all this dead space. And for me, I mean, if you can maximize that, run with it. And I think that's why sometimes my projects take me months, because I really try to dial in every square inch and have maximum usability of space for these animals, because like you both have said, they'll use it. So why not offer it to them and give it to them to just give them that much more of a better life, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, Brad, you had mentioned something earlier, if you don't mind me asking. You said that you're sober.
I am.
For how long?
13 years, 358 days.
That is amazing.
But who's counting, right?
that is amazing.
Yeah. Now, that's with what you just said there. So when Brad reached out to me, monitor related, of course, and then getting to talk to him and knowing talking about our lifestyles and stuff. We're both from the same lifestyle. So I'm this year, Easter, it'll be 10 years for me, 13 for Brad. And it's just amazing to think that how much we have in common. And not only that, when you look behind him and you see his beautiful naturalistic setups, it's like, hey, I'm a Christian. I'm not shy about saying that to nobody. But when guys like me and Brad get together and we're doing great things with our lives now, that the devil's just going, lost another one. Hey, you know what? Too fucking bad. And it is what it is. So, yeah, big congratulations on that. And
thanks, man. And
that is huge.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And like, I've always enjoyed building naturalistic enclosures, but I think part of the reason why I do it today as well is, aside from the enjoyment I get out of it, it's part of my, like, so, you know, when in addiction, right? Shooting heroin, smoking crack, drinking alcohol, panhandling at times, couch surfing, not having a good place to live. I think that's why I enjoy building such beautiful enclosures for my animals, because I know what it's like to not have that nice living situation. Now, granted, like my family, you know, when I wasn't in crazy active addiction on the run, I always, you know, had a nice place to go to, and they had a beautiful home. But in addiction, you don't really have those luxuries. So
Yeah.
I really want to make sure that when I build stuff for my animals, that, you know, they don't have to feel what I felt when I was out there ripping and running and drugging and drinking. So
Right.
So this pretty much your builds have been a form of therapy for you. These animals have given you a source of grounding. I've always called it grounding because I have to admit that not even before the podcast, talking and connecting with some people in the reptile community, I always see a trend. And that trend is that they're reptiles, regardless if it's monitors or snakes or things like that. Like, it could be a bearded dragon, it could be, you know, it could be a monitor lizard or ginormous, you know, reticulated python. But these animals keep you grounded. Would you say the same thing? Would you think that these animals have helped you sustain sobriety?
yeah, and it's definitely an outlet, right? So my life, aside from like my YouTube channel, can be pretty crazy. I'm co-founder president of a 501c3 that helps people in early recovery and pays for their sober living. Every penny that comes in goes right back to the people. I don't take a salary. So you can imagine the influx and going through applications and checking those and the hours that take. I used to serve as director of operations for a drug and alcohol treatment center, since switched my position over to business development and aftercare specialist, the birth of my son, a lot of things going on. So building naturalistic enclosures is really, it's an outlet, right? You can just break free. You can be in the moment. You can really focus on task at hand and just, like I said, get lost in it. And it's
absolutely
hours can go by and be like, it's 5 minutes. You know,
what I think is really, you know, this is for people to hear. I need people to hear this. So Brad and we're the same, but we're different. And what I mean by that is, I've always been a builder. I'm 30 years as a concrete finisher. I've always been a builder and a constructor and building naturalistic habitats. But in my head, I'm always behind. So it's go, 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 go. Yeah. And when I started dealing with Brad, I mean, this guy is the complete opposite of me. He is meticulous. And everything is thought out, the details down to the micro inch. Everything is so well planned and thought out, where I go and I build. And when I see something I don't like, I rechange it. Where Brad has a plan, he sticks to the plan. It's so weird to do that. And I don't mean he's weird or I'm weird. But,
we're all weird.
I'm a little weird.
I'm a little weird.
No, but what I'm trying to say is, you know, you don't have to be meticulous like Brad. You don't have to be shot in the dark like me. There's a happy medium. But, man, I got to say, Brad, the way you present your stuff is to me, it's amazing. Like, when we first started talking and, you know, we weren't really deeply friends at that point, and you sent me a video. Yeah, I'm going to get started on my enclosure. And like a fucking surgeon, this guy had his skill saw, a jigsaw, files, micrometers, everything, screwdrivers, everything all laid out. I said, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm going to build my enclosure." I was like, "Holy shit!" I use a skill saw, a drill gun, and, you know, maybe, you know, like just a few hand tools here and there. But it does help to have all those nice tools. But when I seen that, I was like, holy shit. And then I seen his first video, and he's so soft-spoken and eloquent in his speech. The way he explains things, I'm like, oh my God, this is the fucking savior guy of cage build, because who wants to listen to me barking and yelling and spitting all over the place when you got a guy like Brad who really details everything laid out. So I appreciate you very much for your communication skills and your building abilities.
Yeah, thanks,
I
Mike.
actually,
Thanks, man. I appreciate
I've
that.
actually done one of these. Like, again, yeah, Mike, you're really right. Like that calm, assertive, going voice. I've done this.
Yeah.
And just sit there like watching, like, wow. Okay. So yeah, Mike is right in that point.
And with that being said, it's not to the point, like I've watched a lot of stuff. And there's people that, like you say, you sit and you look like this, and the next thing you know, you're like this. Not with Brad. Brad keeps you engaged, and you watch. It's not boring. It's not slow. It's perfect tempo. And I'm sure a lot of people turn me off because of my big mouth and the way I am. But Brad he does things right, man. Real nice work.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. And dude, in all fairness, Mike, I can listen to you on your lives all the time, dude. You throw down some funny shit, dude. You know, like the stuff that comes out of your mouth. I'll be rolling, man. It is funny, dude.
That's a natural gift, I think. I'm sure I piss people off, but
who cares?
Gotta have fun.
As long as the mass majority enjoys it, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I mean nothing by it. I tell a lot of jokes. My wife said to me one time, "That's not very nice, Mike." And I'm like, I know it's not nice, but it's fucking funny. She said to me one time, "Hey, what if somebody made fun of your big shoe and the way you walk?" I said, "If they don't, I'd have to question if they're okay or not. I mean, it's a freak. Why not? Hit me with it." And you know what? I'm good with it too, because I like funny. That's what it is.
Yeah. We have here Sunshine State Sulfurs. Did I say their name already? I might have.
No.
Sorry.
Well,
yeah, Sunshine. Okay, let's try that again in English. Sunshine State Sulfurs. We also have Morph Avenue. Mike Duval has joined us. We already said Amy's Reptiles Adventure. Susie Lou. Nameless Collector. Octopus with No Friends. The Reptile Whisperer has joined us as well. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
What's up, everyone?
Yep.
Yeah. So wait. So Brad, how many bioactive systems do you have running at the moment with animals in it? Not just in process or whatever. Like, how many do you have that actually have, tenants? I should say, they don't pay rent.
I'm counting right now. 10. Yeah, 10? I got 10 with a 8x4x6 polydarium I'm working on.
Now, what would be going in that new one, Brad?
Yeah.
Hey, none only than the Mertens from Mike's Monitors. Yeah. Are
you gonna do a vid on that? The introduction?
Yeah. So I'm working on. I got part 1, 2, and 3 out right now. I'm working on. I pretty much have 2.5 videos ready to go. I just need to. It's kind of hard because it's such a big build, right? And I got to tie everything together. So I'm going to do the big waterfall in its own video. I'm going to do the hardscape in its own video. And then I'm going to do the aquatic scape and the cutting out of the viewing window. I might just have to phone a friend, Mike, when it comes to that again, because we've talked a few times on it.
I'm always here for you, brother.
Yeah, I know that, man. You've been a blessing during this build, so I appreciate that. So, but yeah, I should have those videos coming out soon. I have 2 of them pretty much all cut up, chopped up. I just need to really just dry brush it, and then I can actually get those videos out. So it's been a little bit of a break between them, but I was able to get a video out of touring your facility, Mike, and then Will Exotic and Ravishing Reptiles were also over by my place, and we just kind of did a reptile room tour. So to answer your question even further, Jen, if you want to see some of those builds, all 10 of them, you can check out that video right there and just kind of see, what they look like. Because whenever you finish a build, right, it looks the best, and then you put an animal in and they kind of do their thing. So you can kind of see and update it on where they're at as far as the builds go.
Awesome. For those of you that don't know, Brad's Bioactive builds on YouTube. He has a full running channel with all this awesomeness. You guys have to check it out. Like, even if you don't want to build anything, or even if you have little plastic dinosaurs and you want to build them a vivarium, this is the place to go and do it. Okay. If you have Godzilla, go. Just do it.
And with that being said, so I am me, and that's whatever. So I made a Mike's Monitor socialization caging system video. Okay, very crude, very Mike Stefani. So Brad, when he started making a Mike's Monitor socialization caging system, man, like I said, I'm crude, I'm loud, I'm stupid, I'm like in your face. And Brad is very matter of fact, and he did a Mike's Monitors socialization caging system build. And so you can watch my video, or you can go to Brad's and really enjoy a video and understand how everything works and how everything goes. So yeah, I appreciate you doing that, Brad. That's an awesome thing.
Yeah, thanks. And
Because the Mike's Monitors socialization caging system is really, I mean, I don't want to build myself up. I try to stay humble, but it's a dynamo in the hobby. It really works well at socializing your animals, and who doesn't want a big giant dinosaur that's like having a cat?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Mike, you know what? I know you remain humble, as I try my best to do the same. So I'll talk you up.
Okay.
that Mike's Monitor socializing caging system. When I make videos, I only do stuff that I believe in. I've had people reach out to me, whether it's products, can you do this or that? I just don't do it. I'm not this huge YouTuber, but I also try to have principles, and I really try to push out things that I have seen tried and true. And that Mike's Monitor socializing caging system, absolutely. I mean, it works like a charm. Anybody that asks me, I have no other words like, how do I tame my water monitor or this? The first thing that comes out of my mouth is Mike's Monitor socializing caging system. Jupiter, 3 weeks. My female Merton, 4 days. My male Merton, it was about 2 weeks, and I put him in another more naturalistic temporarily set up, and he regressed a little bit and still a little standoffish. But it's, with that being said, it's also not in that Mike's Monitor socializing caging system. So, they were starting to get a little bit bigger, and I needed to get them out of the one that I had. But yeah, Mike, I mean, it works like a charm. What you can get done in a few weeks that would normally take a few months, even years, right? Yeah.
Even years. So a lot of people say I've had my animal like 8 months. I've had my animal this long. It's not tame. It's not this. It's not that. So yeah, sometimes it takes longer than.
And just while we're on that subject, not only is the Mike's Monitor socialization caging system for forest types and water types, I also have a socialization caging system on a larger scale for freshly imported semi-adult animals. It works like a charm. And also dry species, arid species where you wouldn't have water on the bottom. But the basic premise of all of these socialization caging systems is you keep your you keep your hiding to a minimum, but not just to say to a minimum. It's got to be quality hiding places for them so they don't feel exposed. But you don't want them deep hiding, because once they go into deep hiding, you're actually training them in the reverse. Because what happens is you give them something very deep hiding and you don't see your animal and you get nervous and you're like, I wonder how he is. And then you go in there and you start removing cork bark and plants, and you're basically telling your animal, no matter where they hide, the big gorilla is going to get in there and tear their world apart, and you go in reverse. So by keeping simple yet quality hide spots where you could still, monitor your animals, their growth, their feeding. And as long as they feel hidden and secure, but they can see out at you at all times, they soon lose their fear of you. And that's what I've found with the socialization caging system. So thanks for that great video, Brad. And it really, it helps get my thoughts out in a proper way. Because like I say, sometimes I just go off. And you're very calm about it. So thank you, man.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
so
we have Octopus with No Friends. He says, I got to look into this. My mangrove is a super hider, buries himself so much. Now Now you have two options. You have Mike's and as well as Brad's to look into their videos to actually see how this stuff is done. And we also have a super chat from Mason the Monitor Man. Thank you so much for your contribution. Again, super chats, 100% of that goes back to USARK.
And
So,
octopus with no friends. You can hit up Brad or myself on PM or DM, whatever it's called, and we'll help you walk you through it, because mangrove monitors are a great candidate for the Mike's Monitor socialization caging system. And if Brad didn't tell you already, I'm going to say it again. Literally, whether it's wild caught or captive born, in just a matter of, and I'll give you the high end, weeks, you'll have that thing crawling out on your hand. And and as Brad said, if you know what you're doing and you listen to the protocol, the regimen, it could happen even quicker, right, Brad?
Yep, 100%. I was amazed just with the female Merton, but you also do a lot of great work with your monitors before, you sell them to somebody, which goes a long way in itself. But like you're saying too, wild caught even, look at your Togiensis, right? Perfect example.
I still don't trust OJ, but
Yeah.
he earned his name, man. The first day I got him, I was wearing like the yellow leather gloves. They're like that motorcycle cop used to wear them on that TV show. Chips, yeah. So those are nice. Those are tough leather gloves. OJ grabbed me by the finger and it grabbed me and it didn't release, but it just slashed its head one way. Both top and bottom leather was cut like a razor. So I don't want to get that on my skin, because that'll mess you up. So
that'll mess you up, definitely.
No. But it is, they're very tractable now. They don't hide from me. They don't bounce off the walls. They'll come out and sit on my arm, so it works great.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds awesome. So Brad, what was like the most difficult build you ever had, and for what? Like, was it for a specific animal, or was it just like, I'm going to build this and just like, what drove you nuts about it? What almost made you not do it?
That's a great question. I think early on, trying to figure out a lot of this stuff for myself with water features and the smaller builds, just thinking you can use a little bit of, spray foam and some silicone and call it a day, and then it fails, and then you take it out, and then you're redoing an enclosure, trying something else. But now you have some of the silicone particles if you didn't scrape it all off, and you're trying to fix it again. So I found sometimes the hardest things is if you don't do it right out of the gate, going back in and doing repair jobs, especially while using materials like silicone or Lexel or, all these other things that are they have a good bonding agent. If you don't do it right, it's going to be now you're trying to, get all that off and then go ahead and repair it and get it back up to running. So I found now, really just for myself, mapping it out, planning it out, and trying to, with water features, right? I'll just keep using that as an example. Dry everything in, go overbuild, don't underbuild, and go that route. I do have a little bit of stress about this polydarium, the one I'm working on now in the viewing window, because a lot could go wrong there, we're cutting a hole inside of a 300-gallon tub. But, after talking with Mike, he keeps reassuring my confidence with that. And I'm going to be framing out the front a little bit, putting some ribs and some extra, just so when the water fills, it doesn't bow out as much, just to kind of have that extra support there. But now, I mean, like when I'm building, I've been doing it for quite some time, and I always try to add, a special at least one-off feature in every single build that's kind of different from all the others, because every time you build, even if you've done something 100 times, well, you're always trying to push the envelope. So sometimes it's going to be new, or it's in a new location, a corner versus the back wall. So with that being said, there's always a challenging aspect, which I like. I like challenging my brain when it comes to building stuff. So I guess what has been one of the hardest things, every build can be hard if you're pushing the envelope with it. Yeah. But once again, going back to water features, those can be, they can be a pain if you don't do it right.
They're so gorgeous too, and that's one of the things that like you just keep trying to go back to. Like, I gotta have the stream going through the middle of the freaking enclosure. I gotta do it, and it's like, but you know what? I guess it's like with everything else, right? If you can't, you gotta work it out. You gotta work it out. You gotta go through it. You gotta figure things out. And lucky we have, people like Mike to be like, hey, this is not working. Help me.
Well, so with your Mertens build, Brad, and like I said, me and Brad couldn't be more opposite yet the same. My first process in building my Mertens enclosure was to literally rip that viewing window in the tub. And oh my God, Brad, when okay, so the manufacturer is not going to guarantee some crazy guy cutting a hole in their pond, right?
Yeah.
So you save that for last. And I want to help you out real quick. Once you put that, I don't know how you're planning on cutting yours. I used a grinder wheel on an angle grinder just to try to get as straight as a line as I could. And it's pretty straight. That first plunge, man, it's like, am I going to, and then once you plunge and you start following that line, it's like the Three Stooges when he's sawing on the table and he's just going. That's how it was. I was like, I'm in it now. I'm going, man. So you'll be
no
fine.
Turning back, yeah. No turning back now, yeah. It's like even on this build, I finished pretty much like all the Zoopoxy, and I put my undertone base coat under layer of paint on, and then I cut the holes for the lights, right? And it's like, but cutting those holes, it's like if I mess this up in the ceiling, I just did all this work. So, but I do that because I don't know exactly where I'm going to put the basking branches, and I want to make sure that they line up perfect. So what I did is I mocked up, I'm going to build a fake tree in there. So I kind of mocked it up real quick, saw where I can have my second basking zone. And then I cut the hole just to make sure it lands perfectly for them so I can get my temps right.
Guys, Bandit has sent us a super chat. Thank you so much, Bandit, for your contribution.
Thank you, my friend.
Yeah, thanks. Bandit's awesome.
So,
one of my
Brad, we're at like 36 minutes into this thing. I see right behind you got Jupiter's cage. Yeah, there's Jupiter's cage. Maybe we can see that a little bit, and then what's in the next one?
Yeah, sure thing. Give me 1 sec. Let me pop these off because I have a lot of wires going on here right now. Let me just move my coffee.
All right.
Can't move without coffee.
Well, y'all, this is about to be a treat to see some of Brad's work. It's amazing. He's a great artist and a great builder, and I'm proud to mentor him or help him in some ways. But in my opinion, he surpasses me, which is good. I'm all about that. But you're in for a treat right now.
All right, I'm going to move this around, and I got to kind of move the camera because it's a little off. But here's Jupiter's enclosure.
Look at
there
that.
He is right
Wow.
there.
Beautiful. The drip wall. Oh, I love that feature, man.
That is so beautiful.
Yeah. And once again, with those water features, it was working perfect for about almost a year now. And towards the bottom, it started just going off to the side a little bit. So I got to add some Zoopoxy onto that. I'm going to pull this off the tripod. It might be
see, that's what I'm saying. It's with water features especially. You're never going to get it right the first time, and you might have to readjust it more than once. But look at what you get to look at.
Yeah. Look at that. That is amazing.
Now, how often does Jupiter drink from that wall? Because my Mertens drink from their drip shelf like 90% of the time.
I catch him a few times a week for sure. Yeah. And I really think he enjoys it too because he'll investigate it. I have it turn on, turn off. Everything's on Govee Smart plugs, so I mean I can just turn it off with my phone right now if I wanted to. Here, let's turn it off now.
And man, I got to say that's a beautiful lizard. What is that?
Yeah.
That is a Varanus Coming Eye, produced by Mike Stefani from his male Lemonhead, and yeah, and one of the cool features with this build is like just once again we were talking about maximizing space. I'm trying to I should have gotten a longer cord for this camera. It's like a 1.5 foot cord hooked up to my computer, so
You're all good.
all over the place. But one of the cool things about maximizing space, the front of the enclosure, as you can see, right here, has, surface area to it. And I created like this pocket door so I can open up this whole front enclosure, which is...
What a great feature.
Yeah.
Oh, so
yeah.
beautiful. And those are philodendron?
Yeah. Why am I blanking? Monstera, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So
beautiful.
And then there's some pothos right down there, which once again, using Zoopoxy, you can just build anything out of whatever. So I just made a little pocket, built it up with dirt, put a hole in the bottom so it can drain, and there we go.
What I always say with Zoopoxy, if you can see it in your mind's eye, you can create it.
Yeah. Yep. So that's Jupiter, and that's his enclosure. I also have like a little, let me see, you'll see the foggers turn on.
Size of the enclosure, Brad?
8 by 4 by about 5.7 or 5.8.
Perfect.
Nice.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So there go the foggers.
There goes the Mr. The foggers.
Yeah.
I love those. I always love it's like the ambiance.
Yeah.
And it's important to keep it on a low setting. I just, like in my videos, I put it on a high setting just to, to show the effect.
Yeah.
But you don't want to, turn it into a fog chamber. You'll just drown them out. And I use them more so in the wintertime when it gets a little bit drier. Yeah. So just to bump that humidity. But the drip wall in itself helps bump that humidity too, having that moving water. So
the water feature that I created for my Similis, Brad, I don't know if you know this or not, but I've been working with those Similis for 30 plus years. And I've never so much as seen courtship or, I've never bred them, and it's really frustrating for me. But in talking with Chris Applin, who's going to be a guest soon here, he thought my enclosure was too humid. So I was always going off of the Similis that are found in like northern Australia, which is different because he showed me where they come from in southern New Guinea. And it was like, it reminded me of like Gill and I habitat. So I changed it all up. I made that beautiful water feature and I yanked it out. And it really changed their behaviors and stuff. So, it's good to research everything, but, that's one thing that's nice. If you do need to remove something, it's not impossible to remove. So, again,
that's so beautiful.
Hey, can you give us a sample of your pocket door real quick? I hate to do that to you.
Yeah.
But that's such a cool feature. I want everyone to see that.
I'm hoping I can pull it. Let me see here. So it just it slips in right behind here. And
both panes will go in there.
Yep. So there's that. And then this other pane.
Now you have full access to the whole enclosure.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Love it.
Hey, buddy. How are you? He's a good boy.
Beautiful job, Brad. Beautiful.
Yeah, thanks. So next up, I guess, would be the blue tree monitor.
Nice.
Yeah, my McCray.
Oh, wow. Look at that.
Yeah, I got him from SUNDOWN Reptiles. Brian over there. And this is 6 by 2 by 4. Bioactive. All my builds are bioactive. Just because I enjoy the whole aspect of it, having the microfauna and the plants and all that stuff. So let me see if I can.
And I'd like to say, with monitor lizards, bioactivity in the bottom is very important for, I haven't cleaned a cage other than water dishes. I haven't cleaned a cage in years because if they happen to poop on the floor, by morning it's gone. All the bioactivity just eats it up. Hey, Brad, can you hone in on the left side of your enclosure there? I wanted to,
Cork.
yeah. Did you create those stag mushrooms or?
That is one thing I did not, Mike. I got them on Amazon for $15.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
So
they
I
have
jumped on
them.
that.
I've seen them before. I was gonna actually use those for my tarantulas.
Because I seen, Ron Rundo, who creates all them beautiful habitats for, tree boas and whatnot. He creates the lichens and the little whatever those are, mushrooms or whatever. I thought maybe you had did that yourself.
Yeah, you know what? I was gonna go for it and just make it out of zoopoxy, but
Yeah,
for $15, why
yeah.
not?
If they're that cheap, why do it?
Yeah,
That is beautiful.
That's a beautiful enclosure.
yeah. Thanks. And here, let me see if I can get a good picture. He's still in his grow out. I'll show you his enclosure next, but there is my. Pull him out. Come here, buddy.
You got a salamander?
Lanthanotus boreaensis.
Earless?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So he's great.
So do they live up to their name, the bulldog salamander, or what?
100%. These things are savage eaters. I gave them 2 huge night crawlers last night, and it's cool because they do like the death roll. So he lies down and he's just spinning around in circles and just tearing this night crawler up. So yeah, such a cool species.
Yeah.
I can't wait to get him out and put him into the build that I did. I'll pull it over here. Let me mute my mic because I'm sure it picks up a lot of crazy noise when I roll the desk. So he's going to be going in here.
Love that palette you got going there.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to paint the big paludarium, so I got a whole bunch.
Nice.
Yeah, and then I got the Mertens down here. This is actually my Aki build. But I had to get them out of the Mike's Monitor socializing caging system because they were starting to get bigger. So I had to pull my Aki, put my Mertens in here, and put my Aki in a different enclosure until I finish up the big paludarium, which is right here. Turn on the light.
Jeez, look at this thing.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one.
And some of the features that you have on there are just amazing, like the little the bivouac under the waterfall. Man, great idea, and I can't wait to see it all come into play.
That is incredible.
Yeah, you might be able to see it if my camera. There we go. So right here, you can see a little hole, and there's an entrance for a hide, and this whole thing here going up is a waterfall. That'll go down.
I see it. I was going to ask you. It was like there's tiers to it. There's like the stepping stones. Like that would be water feature, right?
Yeah. And then there's another entrance to the hide right there. Then there'll be one right. Where's my finger? One right down there. There's going to be a tree coming up through here. That's going to go over the whole water area. Kind of have Pride Rock from like Lion King sitting right there.
I can hear the song in my head.
Yeah.
You know what's awesome about that, Brad, is I inadvertently built one of those in my Mertens enclosure. And man, I'm telling you, some of the best pictures are when they're sitting on that sloped rock and turn their head towards the camera. So that's awesome.
You're going to get some nice shots from that.
Yeah, looking forward to that. So, and then right there is a nest box. You can kind of see the entrance right there. Move my fingers so it'll focus. Still got a zoopoxy in the side a little bit, but that whole lid pops off. And I was able to zoopoxy it and make a clean, seamless, hidden top for it. So
nice.
That'll be on my next video that comes out. Yeah. And then we'll be cutting out the viewing window down there. And then I'll have my 2 Iwasi 850 thermal whatever canister filters sitting right under there, and I'll have a door that I can access them.
Yeah, that's man, the thought you put into your little drawer to get at your filters, genius.
Yeah, thanks. It's got a shelf too. I can pull it out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like you know, mine, I got to go behind the wall to get to that. Yours, you pull it out to you, which is very cool.
Yeah, thanks. So that's what I have pretty much in this room. I got a couple gargoyles up there, gargoyle geckos, and then I have other enclosures throughout the house. I got a finished basement that, let me set up this computer. I got a finished basement, which I have another 1836 polydarium. And then I have upstairs Panther Chameleon. It's about 6 foot tall. It was a kind of fun design that I made. It was originally just going to be 4 foot tall, and I was going to build a tree on top so I can open up his enclosure, and he can kind of just walk around up top. But then I'm like, you know what? If I'm not home, I still want him to enjoy that.
Yeah.
So I set up. What's going on with this? There we go. So I set up. I kind of built like a screen dome top. And it's pretty cool how it works.
Yeah, that's a great build too.
And just so guys, William Powell has sent us a super chat. Thank you so much, William.
Thank you, my friend.
And awesome sauce.
So we're getting close on here. So we understand the what's next is your water feature for your Mertens. But once the Mertens is completely done, what's next for Brad's bioactive builds?
That's a great question. So the first series, the first part of the Mertens build, the polydarium right behind me, I made an announcement that I'm going to be giving in an enclosure giveaway, a 4x2 by 2.5. If they want it smaller, whatever, that's fine. So that's going to be my next build after this, and I'm going to be giving it away to somebody that entered the raffle. All you got to do is like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and there'll be a couple other ways to enter throughout the series. So really whatever they want is what I'll be building. It'll be those dimensions with the hardscape and kind of going that route. I also have the smallest enclosure ecosystem I'm going to build. That's going to be a fun one. Hopefully it takes no longer than a day to put together because it's so small.
You know, it's not going to take one more.
Yeah.
I'm telling you right now, no. And if you do, I'm going to be pissed. I'm just saying. Okay? Like, I'm like, wait, how did he do that in a day? Like, a microsystem?
And we have talked about a collab type thing, like almost like, I don't know, I'm showing my age now, like back in the day, Ray Rayner. So Ray Rayner had a craft lady who would make, a beautiful craft, and then fucking Ray Rayner would come in with glue everywhere and just, and they would give them away at the end of the year when you guess how many jelly beans are in the bucket or whatever. So me and you, we're in the talks of doing like a collab thing, and of course, when we do this collab naturalistic builds, Brad will do one, I'll do one, and we intend to put it in the USARK auction in October, Tinley. It won't be this year. It might be the next, but that's what me and Brad have been talking about.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. That sounds like a fun time. And whether we build our own or build one together.
Either way.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you guys have like the year to actually work something out, maybe Brad could build one half and Mike could build the other one. And at Tinley, you guys can actually put them together.
Oh, wow.
So for the first time, everybody will see it in person.
I like the way you think, Jen.
You know me. Like,
absolutely.
I think that would be incredible because, and maybe you guys will know what you're working on. Maybe you won't. I mean, it'll just be, again, the perfect collaboration. And then like a viewing, a release of the end product for everyone to enjoy in person at Tinley.
Yeah, that sounds like a great plan.
So Brad, let me ask you something. And I already know the answer. I'm just putting it out there for the peoples. So when I built my 3 barrels for, displaying at the shows and selling my babies, there are a lot of work to move around because the 2 of them had major water features in there. So when you move a barrel around, and it has a major water feature, a barrel is not a plastic tub. It's what, 6-inch or less slits that, you can spring a leak moving them. So I kind of retired them. It was a lot of work bringing them, and then I'd have to fix a leak while I was at the show. But when I retired them, my wife said to me, she goes, "Oh yeah, that's great. Now we can sell off the barrels." I said, "Sell off what?" I said, "Just like what you're saying, Brad. I love my enclosures as much as I love my animals, and they're still with me." So
that's that's like your love, like that's your energy. You just poured all that. I mean, you did it for your animals, yes, but that's a part of you.
yeah, absolutely. That's the way I feel about it. And I know Brad does too.
Yeah. Oh, of course. And Mike, dude, those barrels are iconic.
Yes, they
I mean,
are.
like that's just what it is. There's
Thank
nothing
you.
else there like that. It's so outside of the box, but so makes sense in the same, I guess, thought process of that.
Yeah.
And just the way you put them together and the way that they're displayed. I mean, the barrel itself looks cool, but then you throw, the zoopoxy and the background and the hardscape and an animal in there. It's just next level stuff.
I thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
And-
I mean, I think that was like one of the first draws that when I saw your stuff, Mike, was the barrels. And
Yeah.
when many moons ago, when I first did the interview with you for the magazine, I was just like,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even
that's a
like,
barrel, that's a barrel.
Well,
Look what he did with a barrel.
I used to like when people would come up to me at Tinley's and they'd go, "Oh, that's," and I'm not a drinker. I was never a drinker. I had other vices. But people would come up and go, "Hey, honey, look at that wine barrel." I'm like, "That ain't a wine barrel. That's a whiskey barrel."
Yeah,
Wine
right.
barrels are so clean and pristine. Whiskey barrels are like me. They look like a cactus plant. They're rough. They're in rough shape. They got rust on them, a lot of weather. But man, do they make great enclosures.
They do. I would have never thought they did until I saw
Yeah.
yours, that's for sure. Yeah, so
So what's next for Brad with your bioactive builds you were saying?
So yeah, just kind of going that route. Going to build the free enclosure to one of my subscribers that had entered the raffle. After that, I'm going to start doing, still do my personal builds. I'm thinking about getting rid of I got a friend, he had a Tego that had passed, and he really wants an Ackie, so I may, sell him the Ackie enclosure with my Ackie, and then build a Kimberly, maybe a black tree, something like that. But while I'm doing that, my goal is to do more raffles for my Patreons, a certain tier, because I've had a lot of people asking me to build them stuff. And I mean, supply and demand, it's just, I couldn't keep up, with some of that.
yeah.
So I'll probably do like raffles of enclosures to my Patreons and then just film it and record it. And that'll also allow me to, get more videos out. I'd like to do a ball python build. I'd like to do a bearded dragon build, a leopard gecko, crested gecko. And that would be once again for, people, not for my personal collection.
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mike, I focus so hard on one enclosure to where what's next, I have a lot of ideas, but by the time that comes, it could take a complete left turn. And I'm like, no, yeah, I'm not going to do that anymore. I want to like the earless. He kind of landed right in the middle of this project because I had a great opportunity. Thank you for the connect there, Mike. And what I went through just to get him prior to that. So I appreciate all the support in that area as well. But like sometimes things just pop up and it's like, yeah, I'm going to make this move. And then you start thinking about the enclosure and how you can put it together and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I just love doing it. So whatever's next, it doesn't really matter. It's just doing it. Really,
Right.
where I get the
Nice.
enjoyment.
Right. Now, one more question. Well, we're not done yet, but a question that I found with like species specific builds. So like when I was breeding my Kimberly rocks, and my Pilbaras and the small whiskey barrel that I have the anthill pythons in now, they're so species specific that like when I sold my Kimberly rocks, I thank God that my buddy, he wanted the enclosure too, because just to sell the Kimberly rocks out of it, it's not like you could go ahead and put gill in. I mean, you could put anything in there, but it's so species specific niche that it doesn't make sense to because like for the Kimberly rocks, That's species specific. When I did the Pilbaras, that was species specific. And while they almost looked identical, there were differences that the Kimberly Rocks wouldn't have done good in the Pilbara's cage, and the Pilbaras wouldn't have done good in the Kimberly Rock cage. So some things that I've found when you're building species specific like that is you better hope you like that species and you're going to maintain it. You're going to keep it for a long, long time. Because, like I said, when I was thinking of selling my Kimberly Rocks, sure, the guy buying them may not appreciate that species specific enclosure. Thank God in my case he did, and he wanted the enclosure as well. So for them to go with the enclosure is it's good for their mental health too, you know.
Absolutely.
But you know, like my Mertens, for example, like the Mertens enclosure you're building now. If you ever decide to get out of Mertens, it's not like you're going to throw a coming eye in that enclosure. It's not quite conducive for that animal. So that's why Mertens will always be with me, because I love my enclosure and my Mertens. But sometimes you can run into a problem with that species specific builds. But and again, it's great for the species, but you better hope you're going to plan on maintaining that species for long term. How do you feel about that?
I agree 100%. When I do builds, I do think about what else might be able to go in the future, but also I don't plan on when I get an animal, I usually don't plan on getting rid of it, right? Unless it's for a good reason. I don't like to just kind of get them and get rid of them. And, you know, like, you're right. You're right. If you're building something so specific too, you really have to dial it in. But I get the enjoyment out of that piece too, right? So whenever I get an animal, I'll put them in kind of like a grow up, right? Whether it's a Mike's Monitor, socializing, caging system, or something else. And I'll watch their behaviors, even with the Mertens and the Yaki enclosure right now. My male, right, he likes to kind of sit on a ledge that looks just like the one up there. So hence I have one replicated. My female, she really likes to hang out in the branches. So that's why I'm building a tree on the opposite end so they can kind of split themselves up, and she can still have that feature. Once again, specific too. So realistically, if I didn't have Mertens in with this build, there's a very small, limited group of animals I'd be able to keep. But like you said, I mean, I don't plan on Mertens were always a dream species. Coming eye, dream species. McCray eye, dream species. So I don't plan on getting rid of them, and I still enjoy them just as much as day one. So unfortunately, if something does happen to either or any of them, you best bet I'm going to be calling Uncle Mike for another coming eye, you know, or another Merton, because they're great animals. And once you get, my opinion, to Varandas, there's nothing else like it. So for me to put another animal in some of these enclosures, I would be bored, if I'm speaking quite frankly. I mean, these, you know, the monitors, they're just so entertaining. You can see them thinking, their feeding response, their behaviors. I'm so looking forward to the Mertens swimming around in this thing and displaying those behaviors. Yeah. And Mike, you and I, we've talked. I'll say it. We'll sit there, right, and just stare at an enclosure after we build it and just free, right? There's almost like a spiritual release from it.
Absolutely.
It's just, it's mesmerizing.
Well, you know, from our backgrounds, and even as a kid, like at 10:30, I was at home. My friends were out partying all night long. 10:30, I'd come home, and they're like, "Dude, why do you always leave?" And I'm like, "Oh, because I like going home, and I like sitting in front of my animal enclosures, and I like watching my animals. So I like to build a life that I don't need a vacation from. So when I am in my happy place, I don't need to go to Florida or Paris or whatever. I come down to my basement and I'm in my happy place. This is the best place in the world to me. You know what I'm saying? So that kind of helps with our situations too. But then again, I still had this stuff when I was an idiot. Just not as, you know, I had other things going on as well. But yeah, so to build your life that you don't need to run from, I think is very important for guys like us who are trying to come out of, you know, such a demonic stronghold that we were in for a long, long time, you know?
Yeah.
And the devil curses. He don't like this stuff. He don't like that we do this stuff.
Nope.
We also, before I forget, Irresistible Ball Python, Nikki, Matt's Triassic Exotics had joined us. Even though we're at the end, thank you guys for joining us.
Mm-hmm.
And I already said William. Yeah, I did that part already. Okay.
So I just wanted to add one more thing in here. And Brad, I mean, with you, we can go 2.0, 3.0. We can, you know, we can and we will. But with the small barrel that I had for like Ackies and Kimberley Rocks, with the iron ore cliffs from the outback Australia. So when I retired that, I mean, it's a very small enclosure. And I was like, damn, what can I, in very species specific. So I was like, man, what can I put in there? And I was thinking about those little knobtail geckos from the outback area. But I have a lot of, lizards, and I'm not really interested in geckos so much. So my buddy had the anthill pythons, and I had to do a little adjusting. I made a access under where the monitors never had access. But I just wanted to say, even though that's species specific, the anthill pythons work great in that enclosure. So I'm grateful for that. And then my barrel enclosures, my milk frogs work great in that enclosure. And so again, while it's species specific, you can change species, maybe a different genus altogether. So that's what I've done. But Brad, as always, I don't want to be the last guy talking here. I want you to be the last guy talking here. Jen, if you have anything to add, go on. And again, we're going to do 2.0 Brad's bioactive builds and so on.
Yeah, so far, that's nothing for me. At this point in time, we picked Brad's brain enough, I think it is. Like, looking forward to seeing more of your videos and to see what you come up with, because you seriously have such an art there to share with us, and I'm just happy to see it.
Absolutely. You're an asset to the community, brother.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, Jen. And it's definitely been a fun time just, talking. And I'm sure, people in the chat, I'm hoping that they enjoyed this podcast as well. I think it's really about, getting that information out to people and really just showing next level builds for your animals, because one, like we've talked about, we enjoy it, but the animal is just going to enjoy it that much more. And I'd feel bad if I had an animal that was just sitting around bored all day, right?
Yeah,
so
right.
What can we do to enrich that? And once again, whether you're watching this right now or in the future, if you're one of my followers and joined us on this podcast in the chat, please go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe this video, and also to this channel. MJ, he puts out a lot of great podcasts all throughout the week, and then your guys' podcast is every 2 weeks, which if you love monitors and if you're in this, listen to this podcast now, this is definitely the podcast to tap into every other Saturday, because they have a lot of great guests that come on, go over a lot of important topics, and it'll only enhance your reptile and monitor keeping. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, Brad. And with that being said, from Jen and myself, I just wanted to say congratulations on your baby, you and Jess. You brought a beautiful baby into the world. It's such a blessing. And I know that kid's going to be out there outdoing both of us. So, man, that is great.
Yeah, he's the future of Brad's bioactive builds.
Absolutely.
Yes, Brad 2.0.
Yeah.
So where can they find you, Brad? I mean, you're pretty out there. Where can everybody find you on the socials?
Yes.
Yeah, so check me out on YouTube, Brad's Bioactive Build. Same with Instagram and Patreon. A lot of cool perks with Patreons. I get a lot of people that ask, when's your next video coming out? Go jump on my Patreon, because I do weekly updates on real-time build process of where I'm at with any of these builds, and they're kind of raw, uncut videos and clips there. Facebook, Brad Gerke, and then also my foundation is a 516 Light Foundation, and we have a page for that as well.
All right. Awesome.
And thank you for the work you do with the people struggling, man. I mean, that's huge.
Yes, that is incredible.
Of course,
That is incredible. You do for people as you do for your animals. That's just a lot about you.
Yeah,
Can't keep it unless we give it away.
that's it.
Yeah, paying it forward. That's what's important.
And a special thank you to everybody in the live chat. Anyone who put out a super chat, thank you. That goes to USARK, like I said. And yeah, so from Jen and me, Mike Stefani, Mike's Monitors, this is the end of episode 18, I believe, right, Jen?
Yeah.
And what a smoking show this was with Brad Gierke from Brad's Bioactive Builds. He's a master builder and creator and such a talented, artistic guy. It's a pleasure to call you friend, Brad.
Right back at you, brother and sister.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brad, for joining us, and everybody who's joined All Monitor Talk. Thank you so much. Happy Saturday to everybody out there, and stay tuned to the Reptile Trap Talk, the Reptile Network. We have an episode every day, but ours, All Monitor Talk, is every other week. So thank you again, and enjoy the rest of your weekends.
Thank you all.
Everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye now.